It is Friday. That's right, Friday, August 24th, 2018. It's MMAjunkie Radio's pre-show, the show before the show. I am Goes. That's Dan. Danny Tom. What?
Danny.
Damn, I almost made it through.
It's Friday. Local radio station. Shout out to anybody who remembers. As a kid in the 90s, they used to do that every Friday. I think it was like 96.3 or 97.1.
I don't know.
Probably one of the classic rock ones because that's what my parents forced me to drive around. And what did your parents force you to listen? You
Kiss
listen to?
FM. It was 102.7. It was Rick Dees.
Wow. What year?
You guys don't know who Rick Dees is? He's the guy in La Bamba when they try and convince a guy to play the music on the radio. That's Rick Dees. How about you, Danny? What'd you listen to?
Rock stations. I got lucky growing up. My dad listened to like the rock that was on like the radio stations, like the rock stations, and older rock. So I got lucky.
Yeah, you got lucky with your pops with the music.
Yeah, we had 2 rock stations and 1 like classic rock station in the DC area growing up. I remember both. I remember all 3 of them. But yeah, from as early as I still have like his cassette tapes. Like I inherited them. I have Dookie on cassette.
You have Junkie on cassette?
Danny, you should probably clean that up.
Well, by then they were already kind of in CDs, weren't they?
My dad, at the time, his car only had a cassette player, didn't have a CD player, so he had to buy Dookie on cassette. Like I inherited this from my dad. Like
you inherited
I knew
Dookie
Green
from your
Day,
dad?
but I knew of Green Day at that point, but I wasn't like buying my own music or anything.
Dookie was a good album.
Dookie was a great album.
I think Dookie came out when I was a sophomore.
Coming up in a minute. And Dookie was out very early, right? It was like 90.
There might be some potential drop-off material in this pre-show.
Was Dookie 93?
I don't know.
That's when my dad. That was the car, the year of the model car that my dad had. And I remember sitting in the back seat and looking through his cassette tape box. He had like one of those holsters that had like 12 of them in it, and Dookie was one of them. Because it had cartoons on the front. That's what I remember. Nothing.
No, I do not remember. I remember some obscure cartoons and no Dookie.
All right, guys, coming up.
Why don't they bring back good cartoons like BJ and the Bear? There's a concept I can't get enough of. A man and his monkey.
This is your captain speaking. We are making our descent into Las Vegas McGarren Airport. On behalf of our crew, we'd like to thank you for flying MMAjunkie Airlines. Now please fasten your seatbelts and put your tray tables in your upright position because the descent is going to be a little bit bumpy.
Alright, Junkie Nation, it's time to roll, baby, on MMAjunkie Radio with Gorgeous George and Go. This is what we doing while we do it, baby. All night long, we rollin'! Yes!
The MMAjunkie Radio revolution is upon us.
Can you dig it?
There's no escape. No escape. Through the vast frontier of cyberspace and through a sea of stars in outer space.
One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
We've solidified our combat communications stranglehold.
We are controlling transmission.
With the use of MMAjunkie Radio and SiriusXM satellite radio technology. MMAjunkie Radio. Commence transmission. Live from MMAjunkie Radio HQ in the fight capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada. Here are your hosts, Gorgeous George and Goes.
Oh, yeah. From the fight capital of the world inside the beautiful Mandalay Bay Racing Sportsbook, you're listening to MMAjunkie Radio live. What did Danny just say?
I said, seriously? You forgot, George?
I forgot he wasn't here. The only show that matters. The only show that matters.
I came so strong with the hand pantomime, too.
I was kind of like thinking in my head, when's he going to talk? And then I looked over and I forgot he's not here. I'm Goes. That's Dan Tom. Gorgeous George is on his way here. He forgot something, had to go back home and get it. And that's our producer, Danny, that you hear in the background muttering stuff.
That's me.
That's him.
Something.
If you didn't listen to yesterday's show, if you're listening to today's show and you just skipped yesterday's, go back and listen to it. I was laughing my ass off listening to Joseph Benavidez, Dan Tom, and Gorgeous George come up with what they would put in their restaurants. The way this started, we did a fantasy food ball draft. And we used to do this every time Michael Chiavello would come in the studio. We would do some sort of draft, right? I think one time we did like the hot women of the 80s.
Yes,
like
that was
like
a good one.
movies,
Yeah.
stuff. And
I enjoyed that.
So with Joseph, we decided to do one on food because he loves food. And it's basically you have to eat at this one place for one whole year. That's all you can eat. And we did it draft order. Joseph had the first pick. I had the second. George had the third, and Dan had the fourth. And I was looking at some of these selections, and I was breaking it down. And I was laughing so much at Joseph Benavidez's place. It's called the Beef Storm. Because if you walk into his place, and you look at the first couple of menu items, and you go, all right, pizza, nachos, wings, burritos, soup and salad, maybe for like the healthy person around.
Right.
The mom and dad that just happened to take this little league team to this restaurant, because that's obviously who's going there. There's barbecue, milkshakes. Anybody that shows up here is going to be wearing cleats or something, right? They just got back.
Yeah.
But at the very end, for no reason at all, tikka masala.
That stuff is so good.
And that's
it's
so
good.
funny because it's good. It's a good dish, but it has no business being in this establishment. What he should have done was taken that off and gotten hot dogs, right? I think that's like the last thing that we're missing here. A corn dog or
chili.
something.
No one did chili.
I wanted to do. I didn't know if this would count.
No one did chicken parm either.
Yeah,
that's
stupid.
Or hot dogs.
I whipped myself like
when you did fries
for not picking chicken parm.
When you did fries, I didn't want to do chili because part of the allure of the fries was
Chili
going to
cheese
see chili cheese
fries,
fries.
yes,
But
yeah.
I can't do that because Dan Tom's the only restaurant in town that has fries.
And I have sausages too, so it's just
yeah. And then
Swedges.
so I was laughing at that, and then I was just laughing at all the stupid little things that was going on and all these decisions. If anybody plays fantasy football, you'll understand that in round 5, when Dan took craft beer, it was like he took a defense. Because when somebody takes a defense in fantasy football drafts, everybody goes into a panic and has to take one too because you don't want to be left without a good one. So as soon as he did that, I was like, fuck, he changed the game. And then George panicked and he did wine bar, which I'm happy he did because I got hard liquor. And I think I'm happier with hard liquor than I am with wine bar because A, I just think there's more options, but B, it fits better with my place, and wine bar fits a little better with George's. So you did that, and that you threw us off. And then I started thinking, of all these things on George's list in his restaurant, he hardly eats any of this shit.
Chili and
he doesn't eat chili. No, he doesn't eat that.
What?
He doesn't eat ceviche.
It's super expensive, so I don't blame him for
He'll
not eating
drink wine
chili
every
and
now
sea
and
bass.
again.
It's like $23.99 a pound.
I couldn't tell you the last time he had an omelet. I don't even know if he eats curry. I don't even know if he knows what curry is.
Jesus. But you know what? His was like, if like personal choice, his is the one I would have picked. Joe's had like key items like nachos and pizza that like I think everybody that hit on everybody. You know what I'm saying?
Whoever eats at Joe's place, it's gonna be good, but you're gonna die within the year. There's no way your cholesterol survives eating at Joe's place every day.
Yeah, it was just funny because I felt like the game was like kind of changing, and what I knew I was already going to be kind of hipster because I was like, I kind of went down this path where I started picking for me.
Matt picked your place.
Whereas, nice. Yeah. Whereas, you know, Joe's doing this, I think, more smarter approach. Like he was getting those like real key items, and me, I'm like, whoa, Dan Tom, like. But at the end of it, I actually don't mind being the, because I think I was probably, I would say I'd probably be fair to say I'd the least popular of the choices.
No,
but I would like that. I would prefer to be the
like
least popular.
Place.
Really? I would prefer to be the least popular. If we were on this mythical town, I would prefer to be that hipster spot where, like, you know.
Mm-hmm. Joe's was the most popular.
Okay.
It was a lot about our audience. And then I heard your name a lot, Dan. I know our sportsbook manager selected yours. Chicken katsu at the end, that was pretty clutch. You did offer things like veggie pasta.
Started
Richard Hunter can go to your place
balancing
now. What else do you have? Sliders, meatballs.
I feel like if you were taking out a girl though, they'll be happiest at yours or George's. I think that's clear. Like
probably George. Yeah,
would stand out head over heels.
Girls like dessert. I don't have any dessert on mine. I'm rushing people out left and right. Then I started thinking about what people wear at these different restaurants, and at Joe B1 Kenobi's, it's just like a red T-shirt with their name on it, right?
Yeah.
At my place, maybe you're looking at like the Macaroni Grill, Cheesecake Factory type uniform. At George's, I think they're a little bit more spiffy. And then at yours, I think they all have their personality, their wacky personality.
I think it's gonna be people like you're gonna get like
a lot of
hipsters to thugs. You know what I'm saying? Like it's gonna get you're gonna get a nice mix there. You know.
This is funny, man. Danny, are you pissed off that we didn't include you? We didn't think there was enough food. We panicked.
Hey, speaking of
I would have had hot dogs and chicken parm.
And you know what? I would have been scared that Danny would have done his based on his diet, so like no bread and no this, and I would have wanted to stab Danny at one point.
I'll tell you what, guys.
I wouldn't have. The best part about this whole situation that I didn't get included, I would have definitely made you angry because I know some of the stuff that you would have picked. Dan was a wild card to me. And
I never knew what Dan was going to do.
But you goes, I knew as soon as George took ceviche that for sure you were going to be upset about that.
Yeah.
But I think I would have grabbed steak early. I think I would have grabbed pizza if it was on the table. Like, I would have tried to make my best.
Especially ceviche, dude. That's such a sniper shot.
Well, because I didn't think you guys would take it.
That's such a sniper shot. He took that early, too, didn't he? I was like, that's a sniper shot.
I think he did that on purpose.
He was sending you a message.
I totally screwed up. Enchiladas is good, but not a number one pick. And Joseph said that right away. As soon as he said it, I was like, he's right. I should have took steak with my number one pick.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't think he would take pizza. I thought he was going to do more what I think you were doing, and that's building a restaurant that you kind of like.
Right.
This dude's a man of the people. He was getting things that he thinks he's going to make the most money.
That is surprising. You didn't do steak or barbecue, and those are like things, you cook your own variations. That's one of your main things. So
we might have to do this again, guys, with someone else another time.
Yeah.
Somebody gave me a suggestion for another list. Was it you, Danny? Did you say that yesterday? Like, didn't you have something?
Yeah, what I said was, what if we were all like movie theater owners?
Oh, there it is.
And we had 10 theaters, and so we had to draft movies to put in our theater.
Irreversible, Antichrist.
It has to be the most popular theater in that town. Like only one theater can be the most popular.
And you can only show those 10 movies, right?
Ding. Cue my song.
Right.
Here's what we do
for a year.
Whatever we do with the list, guys. Here's our common thread problem. We get too broad with every list that we do. I think that I've noticed. So we just gotta make sure we have a good like outline. I think we did the fast food one, but then ended up being like, god, we started like extending all over the place. We went off the rails.
Was it Ben from New York?
Yeah,
calling in Panera Bread.
No, it just went off the rails.
Oh man!
But the food talk, I was gonna say, the food talk must not have been that. It seemed like it got the listeners and the fans stirred up, which is good. But it didn't affect the fighters, thankfully, because everybody made weight this morning. I feel crazy saying that again.
By the way, I know when we have those days where there's weigh-ins on Fridays, did it affect anything on our YouTube?
No, because I think that's the good thing about us being on YouTube and not Facebook anymore. Because I think the guys know they just run through that automatically through Facebook.
I got you. All right. Well, on today's show, we will have Mike Perry, who will join us, as well as Cory Sandhagen. 2 guests today. I think it was a fun week, guest-wise. Gorgeous George is here. I don't know what he was doing out there. Oh, I think he was changing. And I was cracking up earlier because our sportsbook manager told me, Matt said you gave him one of the worst scares he's ever had in his life yesterday. And he kind of like gave me a play-by-play of what happened. We like to play this scaring game, and sportsbook manager was just kind of doing the thinking man sitting there, and he said George just popped out of nowhere and scared the crap out of him.
Oh, because of George, I always come around that corner now like this. Even if I see you guys like sitting like a beat before, I'm just Iron Fortress when I come around that corner. Blocks up and ready because of George.
It's been a while, right?
You keep me still. The PTSD exists though. You just need a couple good ones, George. I think on people like that one you got on Matt. It's gonna last a minute.
Quiet.
It's gonna last a minute, I think.
Really?
Well, my PTSD is still there. I'm sure Matt's gonna be.
Did he say it was a good one?
He said it was one of the worst ones ever. Because I tried to get him earlier, And he goes, I was okay because your brother just completely annihilated me yesterday.
Yeah.
We opened up the show talking about...
I don't have too many talents, but I guess one of them's creeping up on people and just saying the word boo. I guess it stems from just tap and goes on the armpit when he's eating cereal in the morning when he was a little kid.
Did you terrorize him? You terrorized him.
Because as I did it, he would throw cereal on himself. Because I'd wait for him to have the cereal in a spoon. And so as he's going up, I'd get him, and then he'd either hit himself with the spoon or the cereal would fly in his face or whatever. And so then let's say he was eating cereal and there was mail there. I'd go, what? Did something come in the mail? Just any little flinch like that, and it started
I still do it to
him.
this day. Like when he walks into a room, I turn into a robot. I can't stop. The best one
Holy
is
crap.
He used to, if you were like on your bed or on the couch, he would throw remote controls up in the air and they would land on your nuts. And he would do that to one of my friends, Tommy, who's now 40. And 2 years ago, he said he was in his break room at Vaughn's, and somebody said, "Hey, you left your keys," and tossed them. And when they tossed him, he went like this and like covered his nuts and totally freaked out. And he says it stems from you. And everybody was like laughing, like, "What the hell's wrong with you?" And he goes, "I didn't have time to explain." Well, this guy once used to throw remote control. So he just goes, "I don't know, I just freaked out."
Yeah, it's never good. Why did you cover your crotch? Well, when I was little, this guy, like, yeah, it's not worth it. You just don't even go there.
Just keys.
So Matt's was like this. Good. Lower your laptop goes, and then just pretend. Okay, grab that sports sheet, that betting sheet, and just put it down right here. Now pretend you're reading it, but maybe you're not supposed to be or something. Or he was kind of like, he had his head down like that, I'd say. And so I came in through this side, and I saw him, and I go, I think I can get him. So there was some betting sheets. So I went over to the betting sheets first. I grabbed a betting sheet just as part of the ruse, and then I just kind of like did the little, like, you ever seen a cartoon?
Tiptoes?
Yeah, they do the tiptoes and they move along the wall.
Tom Cat has the best one.
He does. And so I went, and I noticed he still wasn't looking up. I go, oh my God, this one's going to be classic. Because I thought as soon as he looked up, as I was closing in, I just go, hey, how you doing? Right there.
Right.
But he wasn't looking, so I actually got in position. Like, I could have done I probably could have turned around to you guys, beamed the light, said, pull your video out, because he was so deep into this, he wouldn't have noticed. 3, 2, But, so as I'm sitting there, now I creep up right here in front of him. He's still not looking, because that hand is kind of covering here, like that.
Okay.
And so then I walk up, and I had my shades on. So I'm thinking, had I not even said nothing, and he looked up, that probably would have freaked him out. Because those shades are the shiny ones. I took them home. And so he may have thought, like, a
nerd is standing there?
No, not a nerd, because they're so big and shiny, almost like a big fly or something. But anyway, I go, this is going to last. This is going to take too long because it was 2 minutes before the show. So then I go, who do you like in today's games? Like, just real quick. And that's when he jumped up, and I could tell it. I got him good. Apologies today for bouncing in. I'm headed to California after the show, and I forgot my phone. I had everything. I had suitcase. Mom asked me to bring some stuff. Jules asked me to bring some stuff. Happy birthday, Juliet, as well. And I'm trying to remember all, so much harder to travel nowadays. Laptop charger, cell phone charger. You know what I mean?
Most of my bad dreams, nightmares is this exact scenario. You're trying to remember and scramble for everything.
Well, I did pretty good.
Okay.
And I had it all loaded up, and I'm trying to do all this. This is where you're all going to bag on me.
Okay.
Without my Jack Russell seeing it. Because
I
was just gone for 3 weeks, almost 4. And he's sharp because he sees the suitcases or whatever. And he's like, kind of like, oh, like, take me, or why do you have to leave? And so I didn't want to break his little heart. And so in the morning after we feed him, he likes to go to the bathroom. And sometimes if he hears something, so I was kind of using those. I was parlaying those events. So when he'd go out, I was going up and down the stairs. I still got the bad knee, so I'm going up and down, up and down. But I had everything, man. I had the canopy. I had a suitcase. I have 2 bags for my mom. The other stuff I mentioned, some packages that had come in for her. And I thought it was all dialed in. And the last thing, dude, was my effing phone. I couldn't believe it. So I just knew that I had to get it right then and there, and as opposed to after the show, because that would set me back. And the whole reason I'm going back is because it's her birthday and we're going to a concert in L.A., so imagine the traffic I'm going to be fighting. on a Friday. But
yeah, baby.
But I'm looking forward to it. So here I am. And like Goes mentioned, 2 guests today. Mike Perry, who we've never had on the show, by the way.
Yeah.
Have we?
Yeah, we have.
Oh, we have?
Right.
Have we?
I think we've had him on a bunch of times.
No, come on. A bunch to top it off?
Well, maybe 2.
Let's look it up.
Man. All right.
I
Well, you
don't
keep
think
talking.
so.
I'll look it up.
Okay. Mike Perry and Cory Sandhagen. I said this to the editorial. Tell me if I'm crazy, Dan Tom.
All right.
I'm
Yes.
higher on...
Sorry.
Really?
Go ahead, no,
I'm higher on Cory Sandhagen than Sean O'Malley after seeing their debuts. O'Malley's had another fight since then. But I was there when O'Malley won at Dana White Contender Series, Season 1. And, you know, he was exciting, but more than anything, he had a look, and he beat that Armenian kid. And the Armenian people he was with were making a big ruckus. So the fight was, like, actually very intense. And then the other fight he had was Sukumta. That was pretty fun, but, you know, he could have technically lost that if Sukumta played his cards right. Doesn't matter. I mean, O'Malley still fights well. I really like him. I think he's going to be more popular and richer. But skill-wise, man, Sandhagen, he has just got some really, really nice hands. And I just love his athleticism, his footwork. And so, luckily, no one fired back. Could be that you guys just ignore it. You see the previews and go, yeah, and go on with your business. But I actually noted that. But what do you think of Cory Sandhagen?
Yeah, I know you're high on him, and I don't think you're crazy because I've co-signed with you before. I really like his style, watching him on the regional scene. I was really excited for his debut for that reason. He delivered there, and it's that really like buzzsaw, you know, shifting kickboxing style, and almost looks like there's like, you know, almost like even traditional martial arts influence in there. And I think I even asked him that when he came on the show last time, but no, he's just a real student of the game, and the stuff he does outside, you know, working with children outside of the cage. I think there's a lot there if they want to go the promotional route because the skills are there. But what you're talking about, it almost reminds me of like the Ngannou Blades, right? Because I mean they're going to rematch, right? But remember the first time around, I picked Blades, and I think Blades actually was favored. So the odds makers were giving him respect over Ngannou, even though Ngannou still had the hype. But you know, Ngannou was the more sellable, was the knockout guy, right? Whereas Blades, you know, more wrestling and you know, he's kind of dealing with that and whatnot. I don't think it's that as hardcore because, you know, speaking of T.J. Dillashaw, Cory Sandhagen reminds me of that. Like, he's going to put on entertaining fights if you...
He's fluid, right?
Yeah.
Everything looks so smooth. I was high on Scoggins the first time I saw him, too.
Yes.
Same thing. But, you know, so I get excited about some of these young up-and-comers who are yet to become a name, yet to become filthy rich, yet to become pricks. You know, they're still cool. And, you know, we'll see. We'll talk to him. By now, he would have weighed in, and I got to check and see how they did on the weigh-ins today.
Props to him.
All clear.
Yeah, everyone's clear. Everyone. Yeah, which was surprising. I read that this morning. I was like, wow.
So that's set.
Good.
We'll finish up the show with him. Before will be Mike Perry. And by now, do you have any info?
I can't find anything.
Yeah, if you just put Mike Perry, MMA Junkie Radio, if nothing popped up, I don't believe we've ever had him.
Yeah, no.
And I've turned the corner on Mike Perry. Mike Perry's a guy that, you know, started off with... He had the look of a fighter.
Yeah.
All right, cool. You could tell he was a hard hitter, and he had like those primitive thoughts where he didn't really discuss, I guess, the X's and O's, the game plan, and the psychological game. You just wanted to ask him, hey, what round you plan on fucking this guy up? You know, like that's how I think he wanted to be spoken to. Like that's what he's there to do, just hurt people, you know. And now, of course, he's shifted a little bit. Now he's with Jackson Wink, and we saw in the last fight he's got, you know, strategy and listening to the coaches and throwing some hard elbows to match the powerful fists that he throws. So that, along with just recent videos that I've seen where he's kind of a character to me. Like I enjoy him. He's entertaining. He's funny. The thing with Darren Till was hilarious. So, yeah, I know, again, he had a rough start with the stuff that happened with his cornerman and him and Tyron and the way they spoke to each other. A few people weren't too comfortable with that. But, you know, I'm through all that, and I'm just talking about the fighter here. The fight with Felder was fun. I wanted Felder to win, but this dude, you know, he came to perform, and he's staying busy is another thing I like. So now we can just carry over from Felder over to Donald Cerrone, and we'll see where his state of mind is with that. All right, we're there, and then I saw that story, so we definitely want to talk about that one. But how about yesterday? It's signed. Tony Ferguson versus Anthony Pettis, and I apologize. Did you guys already cover this?
No.
Okay, so react, Dan Tom. What do you think?
Dude, I'm stoked. I saw it drop last night, and I'm excited to see. Again, this is one of those. I'm excited for the matchup just as much as not the line opening, but the line movement, because Ferguson's a guy doesn't get despite the winning streak, doesn't get a lot of respect. Everyone, one of those guys like, oh, he's bound to lose now. He's bound to lose now. Mm-hmm. Whereas Anthony Pettis, he actually went through that phase where he's been kind of he had the Wheaties, the super hype, but then he went through that phase where he was losing and people were, oh, it's fade Anthony Pettis. He's watched, just kind of almost writing him off, right? And now we're seeing that if you look at Pettis objectively, even in his defeats recently, he's in these fights, like he's in these wars. He's not quitting. He's not giving up. He's still a warrior. He's still right up there with anybody in the top 5. He proved it his last time out. So if anything, you could say that Pettis is kind of like on an upswing, and Tony's coming back from the injury. So there's just so many like intangibles at play where these guys are meeting. I'm really, really excited that they booked it. Hopefully Tony's healthy. I mean, he's healthy enough to post these videos, but I'm just hoping he's not rushing things.
What do you think?
Well, I want to say like a week before we all not went on vacation but left the studio, we talked about possible opponents, and Anthony Pettis is one name that we threw out where everybody kind of went, ooh, that would be fun if they made it. I think stylistically it's going to be a really fun matchup, and the problem with Anthony Pettis is when he's on, he's dangerous to everybody. So I don't know that it would be so easy for a guy like Tony Ferguson. And then the same thing going the other way. I mean, Tony Ferguson's just an in-your-face type of guy, and sometimes you'll see him have problems with that. So I think it's a really good fight.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, UFC, you're welcome, because I had been telling them you better put something there to protect that main event, and you got protection. Now, I think they could have topped it with Diaz versus Poirier, but hey, who am I to get picky? You still got Ferguson in there, and Ferguson will definitely be the #1 guy to fight Khabib should Conor fall out, and to fight Conor should Khabib fall out. Pettis, I don't believe will get any.
He had a similar opportunity where he could have done something like that.
The price went up allegedly, or whatever.
I don't think he would be that first.
Right. So let's cover the scenario if Conor gets hurt. In other words, what we're saying is, if Conor and Ferguson both got hurt, then would Pettis fight for the title? I don't know if the UFC would give him that. Depending on the severity, I think they may just wait out Poirier and Diaz and go, Khabib can defend on another occasion, I think. I don't know, man. Actually, my brain will burst if I go through all this. But what I'm trying to say is, I know there's concerns with those that feel like if Pettis beats Ferguson, he's now the guy. I still think he'll trail Poirier because he clearly lost to Poirier. And so, therefore, if Poirier gets past Diaz, then Poirier I still think keeps the lead over Anthony Pettis. So, again, that would be eliminating Diaz and Ferguson. But I think if we go through all the other scenarios, my head will explode. So let's not do all that. But I think Ferguson is basically your insurance policy. I just think they could have done slightly better. That would have been the 10.0, but I'm going to give him a 9.9 because that is awesome. With 6 weeks to go to be able to pull this out, it's great. And can you imagine if you're a fan that already paid for your ticket? In fact, everyone that's going that night has already paid for their ticket. So imagine being that guy and going on MMA Junkie to see the breaking news.
Yeah, that's that.
You're like, cool, like
bonus.
Awesome. That's just a fight that fell out of the sky. I will take it. So I'm really, really stoked, and I think they did the right thing there.
Yeah.
With both guys. Now, again, a few others still feel like this means that the UFC pegs Pettis ahead of other contenders, and I don't think it means that. I don't even think Pettis is ahead of Kevin Lee, honestly. I think Kevin would be ahead of Pettis. I think Poirier would be ahead of Kevin. But perhaps they didn't want to rebook Lee and Ferguson because it just happened in October of 2017.
Right.
So that's why they wanted to go maybe with a fresher matchup. Kevin really wants to fight on this card, and I'd love to see him on this card if there's anyone else out there. Imagine if he wins and he can turn around and fight Kevin Lee on that card. Ooh, man, that'd be awesome. Or even if it's Gaethje, those two haven't fought either. Maybe Kevin would be interested in that fight. Definitely don't want to dismiss Justin Gaethje because he's more than capable of winning that fight. I mean, that fight's going to be a barn burner on Saturday. But there you have it, folks. Tony Ferguson versus Anthony Pettis, UFC 229.
And not to dive too deep into that hole, because now I'm thinking of like, what does this mean for Kevin Lee? Because wasn't he supposed to be getting ready as an alternate, like a quiet understudy for this 229 card? And if so, does he still do that with this matchup being made? But not to get too much into that, minefield, because like George said, our heads will explode. Let me kind of go a related but shifting minefield. It relates this news to even news from earlier with Michael Chandler. Okay, so we didn't Michael Chandler. Now that we know he's staying with Bellator, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we thought about like what that could mean for other things, and what could it mean for Paramount in this relationship. So when you're talking about Poirier and Diaz being a better replacement, I agree. But then you know what would have been a better matchup than Poirier and Diaz? One that I feel like should have been cash and had multiple opportunities to be cash, but couldn't for one reason or another. Alvarez versus Diaz. It just made so much more sense. So follow me here. What is going on with Eddie Alvarez? Has he made a decision yet? Because now, if Poirier Diaz gets booked on the UFC side, Ferguson versus Pettis gets booked on the UFC side, Chandler's okay. I'm staying here. My potential trilogy over here with Bellator. Does this spell more that Eddie Alvarez could be going to Bellator more? In other words, is that what I'm getting at here?
Didn't they kind of have a little bit of heat, too, back in the day?
Who?
Alvarez and Diaz. Wasn't there a little
Yeah,
bit of
yeah.
Because of an
Backstage,
incident
yes,
down
yeah.
at Venetian when
I remember
Alvarez was a coach.
We talked about this for a while, pairing those two up.
And linking them with the Conor picture, it's a good bridge for Nate to have an irrelevant yet relevant to the Conor/title picture matchup by facing a guy like Alvarez. So I guess what I'm saying is tinfoil hat with these pieces being set in place. Does that mean the percentage or that invisible meter kind of sways toward Bellator for Eddie now, who's sitting on free agency still,
Let me
right?
share my thoughts. I believe that whatever they got to do to entice Chandler to stay had to do with us. Hey, we're bringing some lightweights, and with this guy already being a free agent, maybe a wink like he's on his way, and we're gonna cash in on that big
I don't
fight.
think that's a good idea. I don't want.
Well, that being said, I've also felt like Eddie Alvarez, once he fought in the UFC, became a champion in the UFC, he's headlined these cards in the UFC. I just don't know that he wants to go back, even if Bellator money is that much better, which, can it really be that much better? I mean, Eddie's got to be linked up to some pretty good contracts. Plus, what he made with Conor, I mean, that's some good paper that he stacked there. So
depends, though, because don't you feel like, how many fights do you think a guy like Eddie Alvarez has?
4.
4?
Yeah.
Okay.
Fair.
4, building through the UFC.
Unless he wants to be like
big.
Sanchez and Pearson, where they start to trail off, and now they're fighting top 30s, top 40s, top 50s. You know.
So through the UFC, he'd have to build to get a pretty good payday with 4 fights, right? But with Bellator, if they just tell him this is your guaranteed, just show up and be that guy. Maybe having already won a title in the UFC, maybe I would look at going back to Bellator.
Well, one
because
thing
you've
that
achieved the highest thing in both, right?
True.
So now I think you're chasing the money. And if the money is better there and it's guaranteed, then I think I might just say, let's just sail off into the sunset, knowing what we're going to do, be able to plan for the future. I think that would probably be what I would tell him. If I'm Bellator, I don't think that makes any sense at all. But
one thing, as far as there are some Bellator fighters that I fought, and one thing that drives them nuts is there's 2 questions. How would you do in the UFC? They take it as you'd probably get your ass kicked in the UFC, wouldn't you? You know, like they're asking you that, but not. They're implying like, are you UFC level? You know, whatever. Right. And 2, straight up, do you fight in the UFC? You know, and if not, what? When they say Bellator, it's like, well, what's that? And then they got to go through that whole explanation. A lot of the Bellators just don't like that, you know. So I don't know, man. I'm looking at Alvarez right now, and in his last 4 fights, he's 1, 2, and a no contest. 1 win, 2 losses, and a no contest. But check this out, guys. If you go back just a bit further, 2 wins that stand out to me. 1, Pettis in January of 2016, so that's 2.5 years ago. And the other one is Gagey in just last year, like about 10 months ago, 9 months ago. So if Gagey wins this weekend and if Pettis wins this weekend, then all Alvarez has to do is sign, and he's kind of a live player at lightweight. You see what I'm saying? If Dos Anjos were to get torn up at welterweight and drop back down, that'd be yet another guy. But I believe that Dos Anjos is just going to stay a welterweight, you know. But still, that would be another nice skin to brag about. So having these wins are valuable. I can only point to yesterday, Joseph Benavidez. He lost to I feel like someone's volume's on. Maybe it's me. He lost to Pettis recently, Sergio. But yet, because he beat the champ right now, Cejudo, he's actually in a position where that fight may not matter. Because if you also recall, Benavidez, Pettis, and Cejudo, they have a round robin. They've actually all beaten each other, and they're all recent enough fights that you can talk about them. Benavidez brought up another point. His versus Pettis was a split. Pettis versus Cejudo was clear domination from Cejudo. Right. And Cejudo versus Benavidez, I think, would be in the middle of those two.
Yeah.
Some even argued that Cejudo won. But regardless, wow. I just think that Alvarez, unless Bellator is just offering amazing money, I think he's already done that time, and he should retire as a UFC guy.
I hope so too, but you know,
especially with the fact that he's got some cards to play. He's not sitting with the best hand, but I think there's some cards to play. We don't know how things are going to play out this weekend or the next few months. All right, we got to go to break. You're listening to MMA Junkie Radio on Fight Nation Channel 93. Stay close. We'll be right back.
If you want it, you can have it, but you gotta learn to reach out there and grab it, 'cause everybody wants to know.
I get paid to say things in this cool voice. They get paid to be lame. Here are Gorgeous George and Go.
It's fantasy football season, and Fantasy Sports Radio is helping you draft a winning team. Here, the experts analyze NFL training camps and preseason games from the fantasy football perspective. Learn winning strategies and find out which players you need to have on your team. Be the most prepared player at your fantasy football draft with Fantasy Sports Radio, Series 210 and XM 87. This will also be streaming on your phone or at home with connected devices and speakers. Want to remind everybody that Mater Dei High School from Santa Ana will invade Fertitta Field tonight and play the Gales from Bishop Gorman. This is a rematch of last year when Mater Dei of Santa Ana hosted Bishop Gorman in Santa Ana and broke their 5-year, 55-game winning streak, where they had amassed, I believe, 3 national titles, according to USA Today Sports and MMA Junkie. So I know
they were never the same after that.
They want revenge, and I think we blasted them like 55-14.
Wow.
So yeah,
what happens when you go to the mean streets of Santa Ana?
Exactly.
You don't come out the same.
They got jacked up.
Right.
And I know they want revenge. This time Mater Dei is playing here. It's a home and away series that they signed a few years ago. And I'm definitely looking forward to watching that. Good luck to the Mater Dei Monarchs. Tonight, you can watch it on ESPN at 6 p.m. Still be 100 degrees outside, but what are you going to do? These games just start earlier in August.
What, is it supposed to be bad today?
Something like that, yeah.
Oh, that sucks.
So, go Monarchs.
I'll co-sign with this here as a Vegas guy, because aside from the respectful from, past teaching staff or, past more notable alumni, just will say the kids, from around Dan Tom's neighborhood who grew up here in Vegas, if the kid said he went to Bishop Gorman, chances are his nose might have been, kind of up in that direction. Just saying.
So George doesn't have to give you $2 to root for Mater Dei tonight?
He doesn't have to, but if he does, I'll be a fan for life. Yeah.
I tried to bet a notable alumni from Bishop Gorman, but he did not want to take the bet. So what are you going to do?
Okay.
There's a few others out there, but I don't think I'm going to have enough time to worry about it. I'm just going to enjoy the game, and that's that. Again, go Monarchs. Let's go to the phone lines here. Let's see what we got. We'll start off with Showtime. What's up, Showtime? It's yo time.
Hey, what's going on?
Hey,
Not
Showtime.
much, brother. How about you?
I'm good. I got 100 on Bishop Gorman. We'll square up when I get out to the gather.
Damn, George
So you
is coming at you like that.
You want to bet Bishop Gorman? You want to bet me? You take Bishop Gorman, and I bet Mater Dei. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Drop a quick crispy C note on it.
Look at you two. I like it. Good job, guys.
Anything else?
What you say, Jack?
I said, all right. Yeah, I'm in.
Okay, bet. Now, I'm going to call you, George. I'm gonna bust your balls live. I ain't going to, one thing about me, I'm going to keep it 100 now. These junkies giving you hell about this gathering, man. So, a little word to the wise, man. Let these boys know what's going on, man. They feathers are ruffled, So
all right, explain what's happening.
Oh, nothing. We just trying to figure out what the hell we going to do, man.
Oh, are you in?
That's all. I'm coming to the gathering.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm coming to the gathering.
Well, listen, look, 3 times per day we're going to fucking eat food. All 24 hours are open to drinking here in Las Vegas, so drinking will be taking place even during the show. Include me on that. We will invade a gym. I believe we're going to go see the band Garbage. Spare your jokes. It's an older band, but they got some catchy tunes.
I like
you know what I mean?
Paranoid.
Huh?
George?
No, but we're going to catch that. And we're going to the weigh-ins. Can't miss a Conor McGregor weigh-in, right? We got to go there and see the chanting and the singing and all that stuff. We will watch the fights Saturday at some place. I don't know. We'll figure that out. Saturday night, we'll all get together and toast to how great the gathering was, even though there'll be less of us this year. And I did say a gym invasion. Okay, yeah. And then I'm planning a couple Q&As. A few years ago, we had a party at one of the suites here. I'm trying to line that up, but that got tougher, believe it or not, once Habib and Conor got signed, because everything else is just being booked and taken, and so we'll see. But either way, it's going to be fun times. I'm going to rely on a few things. For one, Ghost tells me they like surprises, so you'll be surprised. That's one. Two, there was times where Ghost planned his ass off, and there was a few people that said, wow, just being all together is good enough. Maybe we don't have to do as many things, as many exercises. So guess what? Some of that might come into play. But we won't just be twiddling our thumbs and just sitting around talking MMA here. We're not just going to coast to the finish line and do something like that. You know, we're trying to do some really, really cool things this year. So that's that, I guess. I'm one of those guys, Showtime, cool. Where I keep if I say something now and something I think more fun comes up, then I'm gonna be pissed that I planned too early. Goes plans very early. He's very organized, and that's why it's a lot of fun to do things with him because, once you're in, you're in. Whereas I think I like to sometimes in trying to make things too perfect and lining things up, things fall apart, and all of a sudden opportunities that were available aren't available. But what are you gonna do? We're just different, But that's the pickle we're in.
Okay, cool. Just thought because everybody was like, "Damn, did he announce anything?" Because I was in and out of the show. Yesterday.
Only 5 people have told me they're coming, and only 5 people have paid their done their transaction with us. So, as far as I know, there's only going to be about 10 of us. So, I don't know if everybody's tripping. Fine, trip. I mean, do that, but don't bust balls because you're not coming anyway. So, what's the point? Well, what's the point of hearing you whine? Is my thing. If you're coming, all right, cool. I guess you could say, well, what are we doing? Well, what are we doing? But from what the people that I know, they've done what I asked them to do, and then that's it.
Okay, cool. Well, so now I'm hoping all of them listening so they can, kind of know what's going on. Hey, something else I want to talk about, man. What's up with the Cyborg Nunes fight, man? Damn, we finally gonna get this fight, man. I was called RJ and them talking about this. May be the best fight ever, I guess, between female fighters. I guess the skill level, probably the highest skill fight ever. What you guys think on that? I kind of agree, man. This, with both ladies coming in with just excellent skills. My thing is with the fight, though, Amanda basically caught hell with Valentina. You could say Valentina won that last fight. And I just think Cyborg is just a different animal, man. My personal opinion.
Mm-hmm. All right, thanks for the call, Showtime. We'll answer. Go ahead, Goes.
Well, I was going to agree with him until he brought up the name Valentina, and I'm trying to think. Valentina's a very well-rounded fighter, okay? Cyborg is good, but I wouldn't say she's great everywhere. We've seen Valentina off her back. She's actually pretty decent. I don't really know where Cyborg's at there. Fuck. It's tough, but I know this. Amanda Nunes has nothing to lose in this fight at all. It's all Cyborg that has something to lose. Anytime somebody's going up, it's the person that's sitting up top that has the most to lose.
Yeah. The only thing Nunes has to lose is, I guess, being able to brag. We're in the champ era, so I don't know that she would get another opportunity to do that because I don't think she'd go to 25. Yeah. So that would basically be the end of that. But she would still be one of the better 35ers ever. As far as what he's saying, the 2 best ever, that's a tough one.
I mean, if Amanda's part of it, then I would have to say when she fought Misha's a very well-rounded fighter too. Mm-hmm. She's got to be one of those people up there.
It's tough. It's hard to argue it with the era that we're in. When you look at, it's a 145-pound champ versus a 135-pound champ. 135-pound champ who's just doing amazing things, beating key names, and, of course, the body of work. You can poke holes in it. Cyborg's kind of got her body of work, too. But with Valentina, the thing is, Valentina is more accoladed than both of them when you think about it. Valentina is one of the most accoladed women to compete. Judo, Taekwondo, K1 titles, Muay Thai titles, and then especially if she can get a UFC belt under her mantle, she's really one of the more accoladed women to compete in any division. So you want to at least give her an honorable mention.
Oh, for sure, and good points with Valentina versus Nunes. You both kind of covered that, but one thing I'll say is, even if you were to really dissect them, and let's say you graded Valentina everywhere a little bit better than Cyborg, with the exception of power.
Right.
Cyborg still on Fight Night, like a 165-pound gal, whereas Valentina was, 133, I think, is the most I ever saw her fight. So that's an additional 30 pounds of mass, of power, and But I want to go back to what Showtime was saying. These are the 2 best ever. I thought that when Rousey fought Holm, I'd have to go back and check what Holm's record was, but was she undefeated?
In MMA?
MMA, yeah.
But they both
had 2 undefeated fighters. Well, yeah, but I mean, I'm just saying in terms of, like, this is a question where you split hairs.
I thought he just meant, like,
on the Cyborg side, there's only 1 loss, and I think it was her first fight ever.
I thought he meant technique-wise,
20-some straight, and hasn't lost in 10 years. From the Nunes fight, she did lose to Kat and a few other young ladies earlier in her career. So I'm saying records-wise, I think there was some excitement going back to Rousey Holm, but that was late 2015, and Gadelia and Jacek had really nice records going into theirs as well. But yeah, man, both of these ladies are very talented. I mean, that would probably be a great debate. All right, we got to take this next break, and then we'll come back. We'll talk to Dorian from Florida. So stay close. We'll be right back. It's MMA Junkie Radio on Fight Nation Channel 93.
Compassion, common sense. These guys have none of that. You listen to them, so you're no better. I am awesome, though. They are Gorgeous George and Goes.
The kickoff to college football season is fast approaching, and no one knows about your favorite school like the experts on SiriusXM's college conference channels. From the Heisman hopefuls to make-or-break Week 1 games, our analysts are getting you ready for the start of the season. Hear it all on SiriusXM ACC Radio Channel 371, SiriusXM Pac-12 Radio Channel 373, SiriusXM SEC Radio Channel 374, and streaming on your phone or at home on Sirius connected devices and speakers. All right, let's take some quick calls here. I think in the second hour we'll talk a little bit about Conor McGregor sending a message to Khabib Nurmagomedov.
I really want to talk about that one.
Come on, Conor, his pops. His pop seems like a pretty.
I know why he did it.
Pretty chill dude, like a. Oh. You do?
Yeah.
We'll have to save it, all right, because it'll take too long, and I'd rather squeeze these guys in. Dorian from Florida, what's up, bud?
Hey, just a quick question about the 229 card. I'm already sold with the main event, but I honestly think the perfect fight to top off that pay-per-view card would be Kevin Lee versus Al Iaquinta. It's just my opinion, I just think that would be the perfect fight.
All right, so two things. For one, Iaquinta's coming off a loss, and I'm not sure Lee will want to fight him. Now, Lee has wanted to fight him because Iaquinta gave him a loss, but that was like about 4 or 5 years ago. So I think he'd want to do it at some point if Iaquinta's stock was high at the time. But you never know. These guys, they get paid pretty good money. Both of them have fought for their rights, I guess. And you're right. Yeah, you're right.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I just don't know if it gets them anywhere further by beating Iaquinta. You know what I mean?
But to get on that card, I think they'll do just about anything because there is a good chance that somebody could fall out, and they would probably be one of the first ones to get called, right? A guy like Kevin Lee, he could slip in there.
Ferguson would be the first to get called.
Well, but before that was announced, because
then maybe
what he's talking about has been going on for a couple weeks now, a little bit of chirping here and there. So I think Kevin Lee would put anything aside to get on that card.
Yeah, yeah. I think putting them on is fine, Dorian. I agree that with you there, but I don't know that it's pivotal for either guy, other than just winning is always important, But I think these guys may even have contracts where it's just favorable for them to fight. Like the win bonus isn't as important.
Right.
All right,
thanks, guys.
Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, Dorian.
Scott in Utah, you're up next. What's up, Scott? What you got?
What's up, boys?
Scott.
What's up?
Hey, I just got back off of vacation myself, so
where'd you
how
go?
You guys are feeling? Kind of dragging ass. Well, a cruise. We went to Cozumel, Belize, Grand Cayman, and there was one more, Honduras, Rotan.
Oh wow!
It was awesome.
Okay.
What do you like
with
the
the
best?
dolphins, cave tubing, played around with some stingrays. That was awesome. That was probably my favorite part. And zip lining through the jungle. That was pretty cool.
Damn. All right.
So, yeah, we had a blast,
you,
man. All right. Hey, question, with UFC going to ESPN, I know ESPN's in more households than FS1, right, and FS2. So that means they're going to have more viewers, right? So how many more viewers do you think they could attain? Because, I mean, the FS numbers are usually like 1 million or right below it. Or, I mean, could it be double that? Could it be 2 million viewers? I mean, will it take UFC to a new level?
Oh, yeah.
Popularity, you think?
Well, yeah. Oh, yeah was for take it to a new level. As far as doubling the numbers, I also think that's a possibility.
Yeah.
But, that's a whole equation, a formula that's really hard to figure out. But I got to believe for sure the numbers will improve. And just, ESPN is just something you when you want to know something that has to do with news, you go there, first. They've certainly, helped themselves out. Unless it's breaking news. They've certainly helped themselves out with hiring Ariel Helwani. I think Brett Okamoto's always done a good job. And I'm sure more stuff's coming, So I think they'll really, really do well, honestly. It took them a while to finally embrace it. I think this, they hopefully should have embraced our sport a long time ago, but they're finally here. So I believe it. I mean, they are the sports leader. So, yeah.
Yeah. And with Bellator going to the Zone, is that the only place you'll be able to watch them?
Paramount.
You have to pay that $9.99 a month?
Paramount and DAZN will both have you covered. But
okay, so they're going to broadcast in Paramount and DAZN. Okay, so it's not just DAZN.
Yeah. Now, that's something I still want to verify. Ghost told me that they're still going to stay on Paramount. I thought they were just eventually moving over to DAZN.
I thought they were splitting.
Really?
It's only a certain amount of cards.
Okay. All right. But the good thing with DAZN is you don't have the West Coast delay. All right, buddy. Thanks for the call. I'm glad you had a good time at your vacation.
All right, guys.
Folks, that's the end of the first hour. We got another hour to go. Coming up next will be Mike Perry, followed by Cory Sandhagen.
I'm the definition of half man, half drugs, ass the clubs, bad boy, that's what's up. After bucks, crush crews after us. No games, we ain't laughing much. Nothing but big things. Check the hit list, how we twist shit. What changed with the name? We still here, you're rocking with the best. Don't worry if I write rhymes, I write checks.
All right, here we go.
Dudes is lost.
It's the MMA Junkie Radio Show. That's a cool song. That's Jay-Z.
No, Puff Daddy.
Puff Daddy? Okay.
He did it.
He did it. Oh, excuse me. Can't keep track here.
I like this music video too.
Yeah. Has that jam been out for a while now? Like Old Man George is out of.
Okay.
This is a really old one.
Must have just slipped through the cracks then. I'm a West Coast kid, you know? I wasn't paying attention to what's happening out there in New York. But all right, real quick. So Modern Day plays Bishop Gorman on ESPNU tonight at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 Eastern. If you want to check it out. Let's move to our first guest of the day. His name is Mike Perry. He sports a record of 12-3 overall, with 11 of those coming via stoppages. KO, man. This dude's got some power. His last win was over Paul Felder at UFC 226, and he's already got a fight lined up on November 10th in Denver, Colorado at UFC Fight Night 139 against Donald Cerrone. He joins us now on the hotline. What's up, Mike Perry? How you doing?
Yo, what's good, man? I like that P. Diddy y'all was playing when I came in this motherfucker.
Yes.
That's my shit, dog.
Well, there you go. We'll play it there while we ask you the first couple questions. We're really excited. We've never had you on the show, and in my opinion, you're slowly becoming one of the bigger stars in the UFC, man. You know, we look at the traffic reports. Anytime Mike Perry's involved in anything, whether it's sparring Darren Till in a hotel or a fight announcement or anything, you're popping, brother.
Hey, man. It sounds about right, dude. It's been a long time coming. It feels good to be mentioned when we're talking the best fighters in the world. People are putting my pictures up with some of the greats. And, I mean, obviously, I haven't done a lot of the things that some of the faces that I keep popping up with have done. Like, you know, won that title yet, but people believe in me, and if I stay the course and I stay the path, that we could be talking about my name as a legend in, 10, 15 years from now.
Well, I think one thing that I've noticed is if someone just looks at you, let's say the volume's down and they just watch you fight, or you're conducting an interview, or they just see a picture, I think people would go, man, that dude looks brash, like cocky. I'm not so sure I'm a fan, but I've taken the time to listen to some of your interviews, and you're very respectful to past and future opponents or other people in your division, and it actually comes off really, really charming in the way that a dude that looks like a badass, like a mofo that's not going to put up with anything, yet is still confident enough that he can praise another man, an opponent or something, or just talk good about someone else's skills. And not too many people can balance that, honestly. Either you're cocky and you shit on everyone else, or you're just a conservative guy, you're a nice guy, and you're nice to everyone else. But you've managed to do both. So, I like I said, I think people just love that realness.
Hey, don't judge a book by its cover, man. I surprise a lot of people all the time. I surprised this little stewardess last night, some little old lady. She saw the cross under my eye, and she was like, I was looking to see if that was a teardrop, and I was going to be like, I ain't scared of you. I'm be like, please, girl, I ain't trying to scare you. I'm in your hands. I want you to just take me to my destination, and I'll be on my way.
All right, yeah, I like the way you handled that. Were you flying back to Albuquerque, or where are you at now?
I went back to Florida for the weekend, and then I'll be back in Albuquerque Sunday night.
Mm-hmm. Your gym in Florida, how did they handle you leaving for Jackson Wink? Everything still cool there? Are you welcome there to still get a sweat on or whatever? Or
yeah, I believe so, man. I'm trying to incorporate my coach Julian Williams from here in Florida at Fusion XL into the corner with Frank the Tank and Winklejohn. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to have it where it makes sense and like I can still use it, but you know, the thing about Wink and the thing about Frank is we're more alike than I am alike with my boy Julian over here in Florida. He's so calm and collected. He's like a master. And my boy Frank the Tank is crazy and wild, and he's all over the place. That's more like me, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, Julian's very analytical and calculated, and I'm like, you know, just throw it and see how it goes. And that's more like Frank the Tank. So, and plus, it's more kickboxing over there, and Julian's an amazing grappler, and he wants me to use my grappling, but I really just have grappling so that nobody can just lay on me and win a boring-ass fight over me. That's not how I want to lose. So I'm trying to get into scraps, and I think the guys that I'm working with over there at Jackson Wink, you know, they kind of portray that.
Okay. Cerrone is completely out of that gym, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
He don't really go there.
Okay.
And now I guess he's not allowed to go there.
Oh, wow. Well, that's an interesting twist. He was there for so long, and all right. So
well,
now
not until after our fight, I guess.
Oh, I got you. All right. Yeah, it's always fascinated me how things like that, you know, wind up working. But hey, you guys are grown men. I'm sure you guys figure it out. What's fair is fair. UFC Fight Night 139's Mike Perry joining us here on the hotline. He faces Donald Cerrone on November 10th in Denver, Colorado. All right, Goes, what do you have for my Platinum Mike Perry?
So when it was announced that you're going to be on our show today, I was kind of thinking about what George was talking about early on in the interview, and you were talking about don't judge a book by its cover. There's a million MMA questions that I could ask you, and I do have one. But before I get to that, I did kind of want to ask a few of those type of questions, like, what are things that would surprise people about you outside of MMA? Like, are you a sports fan? Are you a movie guy? Like, what are those type of things that you're doing when you're not in the gym?
I'm not a fan of everything or anything. I mean, like I guess the few things I'm a fan of, I always say it's like the 5 or the 6 F's. It's like friends, family, fighting, fucking, and food, and getting filthy fucking rich. Those
we have a lot in
things
common.
that I want
Huh?
to do.
We have a lot in common. We like that too.
It's like the Darren Till shit, though. I don't care about shit. I'm just trying to, I'm trying to leave this legendariness.
Mm-hmm. That's a T-shirt right there, man. There's like just the 6 Fs.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people would be rocking that in the arena. That a lot of people are fist bumping right now, going, "Hell yeah, sign me up for that."
Mike, when you
I'm gonna have to shirt.
when you think about the top and the legendary status, I know in your mind there's no doubt you'll get there. But when you do get there, who do you think is going to be holding that belt that's going to be standing across from you?
Fuck, I don't know. Will it be T. Woodley? If Till don't beat Woodley and I beat Cowboy, that's the next fight.
All right, Dan, Tom, our fight analyst. What do you have for Platinum Mike Perry?
Hey, Mike, I'm looking over your Instagram here, and obviously it's no secret you've addressed it before. You guys have trained together, you and Cerrone, and you had a picture of here you guys sparring together. Now, what happens in the gym stays in the gym, and I get that. But let me ask you, when BJ Penn first came over to Jackson Wink, him and Cerrone, they both acknowledged that they kind of had not a standoff as in anything aggressive, but they definitely welcomed each other by throwing down, let's just say. And I remember Donald Cerrone saying how much respect he had for BJ Penn after that. Is that a custom that maybe not with Cerrone, or you don't have to name names at all, but did you have to go through a bit of that when you went over to Jackson Wink, where you have to have some hard rounds and people see you're for real and you're there to learn and get better and you get respect that way, or how did that go?
All my rounds are hard. I'm always giving hard rounds. You got to be a badass motherfucker to step in there and do some rounds with me. I mean, this dude posted, and shout out to him, man, because he posted the picture of himself in the hospital bed with the fucking nightgown on the other day on Instagram and told everybody that I knocked him out. We were sparring, and I was going kind of light, but my movement was good. And, I mean, he's a really talented amateur. And he called me out on Instagram the night before sparring class and was like, hey, are you going to be at sparring tomorrow? And I was like, yeah, bro, we'll work. And we did some drills together, and then when it was time to do rounds, we start moving, and he fucking ran into my left kick, came in, and my knee hit him a little bit, and he dropped and was fucking out of it. He said he ain't never been hit like that. His head was killing him, and he had to leave shortly after our round because he wasn't feeling too well. And, like, I knocked him out on accident. You know what I'm saying? I'm always going hard, bro. And I was going light. I was going, like, 50, 30%. You know what I'm saying? But that's still, when it comes to me, when it comes to the level of athleticism and professional fighting that I'm on, I'm too good, man. I'm really too fucking good for all these niggas with that Instagram. I'm at your doorstep. Y'all motherfuckers don't want it, bro. All y'all shit talkers on IG and shit, you have no fucking idea. I would fight 10 white belts and crush them.
Mike, I could definitely see how that scenario would happen as far as someone running into the kick and you going hard in sparring. So let me tell you, so tell me, I should say, was there any time where, you know, hard sparring tactics, whether it be Florida, Jackson's, wherever, was there a funny story that maybe emerged from you know, you being aggressive in practice or something along those lines, something that more along the lines of funny or entertaining? Anything like that happen?
Okay, I got something with the Cowboy. Okay, so I go to the BMF ranch. This would be the second time we sparred. And we didn't even spar because he's so easy for me to punch in the face that I didn't punch him in the face like that. Like, I was throwing jabs, and I was able to just touch him with just the end of my glove and was like, man, I'm not going to open up on him here at his house, on his ranch with all his people around. I'm not just going to start taking off and punching him. But I want to get this work. I want to get this aggressive energy out of me. So I started shooting takedowns. And I'm not that good at wrestling. Just defensive wrestling more so. And we went for 23 minutes straight. We sparred for a 23-minute round. And, you know, there wasn't a lot of punches involved. I started shooting in takedowns to get that energy going and to get that sweat and actually try hard. So I started shooting takedowns, and then he kind of reversed me. I got up once or twice, and then the last 10 minutes of that round, he was on top of me, and I was trying to pull some sweeps or pull some submissions, but, you know, he's a slick grappler too. And I wasn't able to get him off of me the last 10 minutes. So I just he's laying on me at 23 minutes, and he kind of looks at me, and I just tapped him on the shoulder like, all right, motherfucker, get off of me. Because if this was a fight, I'm fucking sticking my thumb in your eye, and I'm cutting your forehead with elbows, and I'm raining shit down on you to get your ass off of me. But at your house, and this is training, I just rather move through the movements or whatever, but, you know. So maybe, that's why I said maybe he thinks he's going to grapple me and make it a boring fight, but the problem is, when he shot on me in the cage at Jackson Wink, he's too weak to take me down. His wrestling isn't that good either. Wrestling is the mid-game when you're in the clinch trying to get the takedown, not when I'm shooting the takedown on you and my feet stumble over each other and I end up on my back, and then I can't get your long ass off of me because you know how to put your hips down. You know what I'm saying? So he's not going to be able to make it a boring fight and walk away with a slow win to make him the most winningest fighter ever. He's going to try to come in here with a strategy. He's got kicks and knees, and if he can get me on my back, which there's 3 rounds anyways. He don't want it for 5 rounds. We could have been main event on this motherfucker. And he knows if he can't beat me in 3, then he's in fucking trouble. And I'm telling you, I'm going to beat him in 3. I'm going to knock him the fuck out. Unconscious. Not like when he got TKO'd by, there's 3 people, Masvidal, Darren Till, and RDA. They, you know, he was still protecting himself. He was still covering up, and they were punching him in the shoulders. I want to put him dead cold sleep. That's my thing. That's what I like to do to people. And that's nothing against him. We're fighting. We signed the contract. We got this money to make, and I like to entertain the fans, and I'm trying to put this motherfucker out.
I think you came about 2,100 years before your time. I think you should have been a Roman gladiator, honestly. I think that would have been your scene. And I mean that respectfully. Just it seems like you're just a carnal fella. You know what I mean? You like to talk about the violence and dish out the violence, and the fans love watching it. I'm sure you've seen the movie Gladiator. I would have loved to have seen you there with the Spaniard and the other guys.
Well, I'll tell you what, man. I might have been in trouble in a real war with swords and shit, because, you know, I do get hit in that octagon. And if you get hit with a sword, you're probably dead.
Mm-hmm.
So those people who fought in those wars, I mean, shit, they probably all did die anyways eventually, but I might have killed a few people before I got my life taken. So all I can ask is, you know, how many lives is my life worth? How many lives do y'all want me to ruin before you take mine?
As much as I like watching you punch people, your elbow game is on point, man. You throw those pretty viciously. Maybe some of the best in the game.
I'm trying to change the game with those things, man. And you know, there was another skill that opened up of mine, was a way that I can use my strength and not necessarily try to wrestle you, even though I did get some takedowns on Paul Felder. Really, I just go for takedowns to get you thinking about them. So when you look down, I can fucking raise up with these elbows and throw them in your face, because I'm just trying to hit you. That's my whole game. Like, that's my whole thing. Grappling with striking. It's wrestling with striking. Striking with striking. Like, I'm trying to hit you at all times.
Yeah, we've seen it. Mike Perry joining us here on the hotline. He's fighting Donald Cerrone on November 10th. So that's coming up here in a few months. Mike, do you do long camps, or do you break them up and, you know, take a weekend off or even a week off? Just because it sounds like you've already started the camp for this fight, but yet it's still over 2 months away.
Well, look, check it out. I went back to Jackson, and in a week and a half with Frank, with Wink, and with the kickboxers over there, my kickboxing has come back so much after taking a month off after Paul Felder. I mean, I didn't know I was rusty till I got there. Then, after just a couple of days of hard work, oh man, that rust shook right off, and I was shining bright like a shiny new piece of platinum. And I was sparking motherfuckers and moving well, cutting angles, moving my head, not getting touched. And we're only going up from here. I got all this time to get better. But yes, I trained for a week and a half, and now I do have to take the weekend off a little bit, because your body, you know, when you get to this level and you're moving faster and you're holding stronger and you're hitting harder, your body takes a toll. I'm 26 years old. I'm still young, so y'all motherfuckers say, but these MMA years are different. Everybody thinks I'm fucking 35. You know, maybe when I'm 35, I hope I still look 35. I don't know, and not 45 or 55. But I'm working, and then a big part of high-level mixed martial arts is knowing your body, knowing when you need to rest, knowing that there is plenty of time ahead of me to go ahead and take a few days to let my body, let my muscles loosen up again. Because the way that I fight is like I bring everything in real tight, and my muscles get stuck there sometimes. You know, I be walking around with my shoulders up by my ears and my chin and my chest tucked, and and I look like a fucking crippled person sometimes walking around because I'm just in my fighter stance. And you gotta like relax and loosen up and walk around. Like, I try to be lazy. Being lazy is like a way that I trick my mind into resting when I need to.
What about yoga and massages? Would that loosen you up a little bit as well? You do any of that?
Yeah, but I mean, I haven't done yoga in a while, and you know, since my last girlfriend, Danielle Nickerson, I don't really do yoga anymore. We used to do yoga together, and I used to get mad and shit. I fucking hated doing it sometimes. And sometimes I'd enjoy it because it made me feel better. And then massages, it's just, like I said, I'm lazy, bro. So, like, leaving the house and going to set up a massage and actually going and laying on a table for an hour and letting this random person rub you down, it's not always something I want to do. So I'm like, this whole hour doing nothing, just laying on this table, like I could be drinking a beer, smoking a blunt on a motherfucking beach, throwing money at strippers, and fucking driving fast cars, bro. I'm having fun out here, dog. I don't give a fuck. So, you know, I just try to stretch out myself or whatever. I ain't got time.
All right. What's your beer of choice? We'll end with that one. Last question.
My beer of choice is fucking a shot of Patron.
Oh, okay. Fast lane all the way. I like it. All right, cool, man. Well, listen, it sounds like you're on a little bit of a mini vacation, so we appreciate the time you gave us. And, again, we're all excited about your next fight, and I think that's just going to be for the next 10 years. You're definitely an entertainer. You're definitely a badass fighter. So thanks for the time, Mike, and hopefully we can talk to you again soon.
Thank you, MMA Junkie, man. I appreciate you guys getting my voice out there, letting people know that I'm a crazy, savage motherfucker who's ready to bust some skulls, baby.
All right, my man. Take care. Have a nice weekend.
Peace.
See ya. Well, that went well, huh? Yeah. That's just kind of what I thought. Like, I told you, man, I've been listening to his interviews, and he's a pretty interesting fella.
Yeah, I've listened to him on a couple other podcasts.
Yeah, because I'm expecting a certain answer, which he did give us that side, like hard, you know, like what's up, you know, intense. But then there's some other things that you ask him, and you're expecting something, you know, for him to kind of stay in that zone, really alpha, and then he'll actually give you an educated answer about training or a technique or just something that's going on in the world or in his life, and you're like, oh, okay, cool, like.
Yeah, well, like you said earlier, George is a character. He might initially rub you the wrong way, but you realize that they're being genuine. They're being genuine. B, the outline. B, that you know they're being genuine. But anyways, like Diaz brothers and other ones. Like I remember, like I was like, who are these guys flicking off the camera? And I didn't know what to think of them at first, but then I ended up loving the Diaz brothers. You know, you're just like, oh, these guys are great. It's just one of those things. They rub you the wrong way. You realize they're actually being who they are. They're being genuine. They're not phoning it in.
Yeah, for sure. You know, on vacation, I caught myself with 1, 2, or A and B, and I'm like, fuck! I go, why'd I give Dan Tom grief about this? No, I'm an outline. You know, I noticed that I actually outline as well.
It backfired on all of us.
Yeah, I guess I don't do it as much here, but I noticed that in personal life, I do it. And as soon as I say it, I picture Dan, and yeah, exactly. I picture that face, like like he's getting me back. So. All right. Thank you to Lou for setting that up with Mike Perry. And he'll be fighting Donald Cerrone at UFC Fight Night 139. So we're still a ways away from that fight, but it's going to be a good fight. Both guys love to kick and knee and carve your face up with elbows and throw hands. So that's going to be a really good one. That could have been a main event. That night, the main event is Frankie Edgar versus Korean Zombie. And Edgar's a superstar in this sport. There's no way around that. But he's right. Maybe Perry Cerrone could have been the main event. And that's more of a slight towards Zombie. Look, Zombie's, he's fought some great fights. But, dude, some of those are like 5 years old. You know what I mean? And with him doing military time and then them being injury, I just don't know that he's had that traction. But... okay, he's there. What are you going to do? You know, if these guys aren't upset about it, I'm certainly not going to be. But that card, by the way, is Edgar versus the Zombie, Cerrone versus Perry, Benavidez versus Borg. Macy Barber versus Maya Stevenson. Raquel Pennington versus Durandamy. Ashley Yoder versus Amanda Cooper. And Mike Trezano versus Luis Pena. Do we have to take a break? Yeah, okay. We'll do that. And check out on MMA Junkie, go to Rumors, and check out UFC 220. I didn't realize there's 3 women's MMA fights just on the main card alone.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, when we come back, I just want you to give me a quick answer if you're into that or no. Like, is that too much for a main card?
There's one I'm really into, and I'll give you that.
Yeah, of course, the title fight's got to be there. There's no way around that. But there's, I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Andrade Kovacevic, right? I think is the other one.
I think so.
Yeah, and then there's one other one that I saw. I think it's Esparza versus. Do you know?
Oh,
Esparza versus goes. Anyone?
I'll pull it up.
It's on the tip of my tongue. We'll get to it when we come back. Cool. MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM, Fight Nation Channel 93.
flavored Diet Coke without their stomachs giving a single fuck. They are Gorgeous George and Goes. And this is MMA Junkie Radio.
SiriusXM's The Highway and Ram Trucks have your chance to win the all-new Ram 1500. One grand prize winner will drive off in a new Ram 1500 equipped with the best radio on the road, the SiriusXM 360L. It's the newest and most amazing way to experience SiriusXM. For official rules and to enter, go to SiriusXM.com/Ram before September 19th. Online entries only. Certain eligibility restrictions apply. See official rules. No purchase is necessary to enter or to win. Our next guest will be fighting tomorrow at UFC Fight Night 135 in Lincoln, Nebraska. You can catch him on FS2. That portion of the card starts at 8 p.m. Eastern Start Time. Our guest, Cory Sandhagen, will be facing Yuri Alcantara. Cory, how you doing, my man? Thanks for joining us again on MMA Junkie Radio.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me on. How are you?
Good. Thank you. Thank you for asking. Listen, fill in the blank here. When you weighed in, as soon as you stepped off, you said, man, look, get out of my way. I want to get my hands on some, what was it?
Water, bro.
Water, okay. I wasn't sure if it was, I wasn't sure if Pedialyte was still the thing or if it's just H2O or anything else. I know they got that little goodie table and they got those other sponsors, Body Armor or whatever.
Nah, that goodie table isn't very good, man.
What's on the goodie table?
What's on there? There's some muscle milk, chocolate milk, some fruits. What did I see earlier that threw me off? Goldfish were on there. Nothing that I'm really going to be eating before the fight.
All right, let's say one of the UFC officials was listening to this interview, and then they text you and they go, all right, Big Mouth, you decide what's on the next goodie table. What would you put? What would you have them stuck it with?
Hot Cheetos and strawberry milk instead, I'm thinking.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Damn, now I want hot Cheetos.
Do you really?
Yeah, those are good.
I'm not a Cheetos guy for some reason.
That is so weird to me.
I'm a Doritos guy.
You're a chip guy. You like chips.
I do.
What is your beef with Cheetos? All these. This has been since we were kids.
I don't like the taste, and I don't like my orange fingers afterwards. It just seems like a real pain in the ass.
To have orange fingers.
Do you really?
You gotta eat at least half a bag.
I don't know. I just never liked them for some reason. Yeah. All right. So Cory, this dude, you have 8 fights total as a professional. He has 43, so that's like 5 times as many. But I don't read into it as much as others because I think you can close the gap. You know, in MMA, it's not, you know, if you had 40 and he had 43, it's like the same thing. If you had 35, he had 43. I still see it as the same thing. But what have you noticed from every fight, even in your 8 fights, from one to the other? What are the things that you've noticed that you've learned that they would call fight experience?
The biggest thing is I learned how to be present in there. Like the dieting and like what to eat the day of and how to warm up and all of that is something that you obviously gain through experience too. But most of it is when I'm in the actual fight. Like I mean, even before the fight, I catch a little bit of nerves, man. But like I don't let them spend a lot of time in my mind. I get them out right away, and then I know that when we touch gloves, it's just time to do it. I don't overthink things anymore. I don't go in there feeling any pressure. I just go out and I just do my thing. And the last 3 fights that I've done that, I've been really happy with my performances. So that was the hugest click for me. That clicked, I would say, about 3 fights ago. I learned how to completely turn off the mind and just go out and run the programming that I've been programming for all of camp.
There you go. What about, let me ask you something about respect from your peers. Does that mean a lot to you? Yeah, fellow fighters.
Fellow fighters, not too much, man. Like, I know that we're all in this game and everyone has to do their own little thing to pump themselves up. Some guys got to be disrespectful to either gain a mental edge that they think they're gaining or to get a rise out of the other person to try to mess them up. Or they're doing it to make their next contract signing a little bit bigger in the money department. But nah, dude, I don't really get disrespected too much. I know what type of game this is, and I don't take anything personally.
Okay, I think I may have phrased the question wrong, but what I wanted to share with you was yesterday our co-host for the day was Joseph Benavidez, And when I announced who was going to be on today's show, I mentioned you, Cory Sandhagen, and then we just hung up the phone with Mike Perry. But for some reason, I was looking at Joseph as I said it, and when I said Cory Sandhagen, he made this face like, oh, shit, like, that dude is good, you know? So I asked him after the show, I asked him, hey, so because I've been singing your praises, too. I thought you had an awesome debut. I go, hey, you're down with that dude? He goes, yeah, man, that dude can fight. I just wanted to pass that along because Joseph's an all-time great, you know what I mean? And for him to be recognizing talent like that, I'm sure it means a lot to young guys like yourself.
Yeah, that type of respect is important to me because I know that I've had guys walk through the Elevation Fight team, come in from out of camps, beat these like kind of respected UFC fighters, me train with them, and be like, man, that guy wasn't even that good, you know? So like, when a real fighter recognizes another real fighter, that's a huge compliment. When the rest of the people in the world kind of either don't recognize that or don't acknowledge it, it's not that big of a deal. But when I have someone like Benavidez my boy too. When I have that means a lot to me.
So check it out. After one of your fights, if you're ever just stuck for words and you don't know what to say, you can just fall back on an all-time classic and say, y'all better recognize. And just remember this interview here.
Dude, I hope that I don't say that tomorrow.
Cory Sandhagen, our guest here on MMAjunkie Radio. He's fighting Yuri Alcantara on Fox Sports 2, 8 p.m. start time for that portion of the fight. Those are the four prelim fights that are listed before the prelims, which switch over to Fox Sports 1 at 10 p.m. Eastern start time. All right, what do you have for Cory Sandhagen?
Cory, this is a very big matchup for you. I like it for you. Looking a little bit past this, I know you don't want to look past your opponent, but when the matchmaker is looking at your record and your accomplishments, he'll now have 2 fights to go off of in the UFC. But what about the 2 coming in? Do you feel like you get credit for the 2 LFA wins? Because, man, they were impressive. I mean, just the way you finished those 2 guys off, both first round. Do you feel like you get that momentum as well? Or is this UFC part just something completely different?
No, I've definitely kept that momentum. In those 2 fights, the mindset that I had going into it, and everyone has to play with their own mindset too, like what's going to work for them. If getting mean and getting nasty works for you, then that works for you. But for me, it's just, I just go out and I put it on them, man. And like, I don't feel any pressure. And I've been carrying that momentum. Even when I fought Arnett, I was like, it wasn't maybe as aggressive because I knew obviously you have to plan for different fighters, and I knew that I didn't want to be super aggressive with him. But it's just, yeah, I'm just going to put it on this dude, and I mean that's what I plan to do with Yuri too. So I'm just carrying that mindset over, and hopefully get to keep that momentum going, get another finish. But we'll see what happens.
I feel like you could possibly leapfrog a few people because of your style, because of the way you fight. That being said, a guy like Alcantara, he's got a very fun submission game, and I was curious, is there any part of you that ever just wants to test yourself in certain areas just because of that, you know, like just going to the ground saying, hey, look, not only can I bang with these guys, but I could also survive in these areas and put it on someone else?
Yeah, dude. I mean, the competitor in me wants to do that. The intelligent fighter in me says to stay away from there. But as far as that goes, that was something I also had to get over. Because whenever I'd fight a wrestler, I'd want to beat him at wrestling. If it was a jiu-jitsu guy, I'd want to beat him at jiu-jitsu. But this sport isn't chivalrous, man. Like, I'm not going to go out and do what this guy wants me to do. I'm not going to play his game. Like, he's in there for me to perform my performance, and not a chivalrous game, so I don't really play that game anymore.
Dan Tom, our fight analyst, he's got something for you. What you got for Cory Sandhagen?
Hey, Cory. Last time you were on here, we talked about your kickboxing style, and I really dig it, and kind of your background and upbringing that way. But on the flip side, Goz just mentioned Yuri Alcantara's obviously his ground game, but he's got a unique kind of southpaw striking style too. The way he throws kicks and left hands. Was there anything that like stood out to you that was a positive, that whether you're looking out for it or you admire it? And was there anything that maybe without divulging the game plan that you see as potential spots where you think you can thrive?
Yeah, I know the type of I've seen the type of fighter that Yuri is. It's it's one where I mean, it's just kind of like your kind of slower southpaw game Muay Thai style, you know, where, I mean, he rushes in. There's not too much about Muay Thai about that. He rushes in a lot, but he really likes to control the pace. I realized today how much taller I am than him. I thought that we'd be a little bit closer in height, but I know that he likes fighting from range. He likes pawing with his lead hand from southpaw, but he really likes to control the pace of that fight with the range, but I'm so much taller than him, man. Like, I got to have 2 or 3 inches on him. That I think that him not being able to handle that range and me being able to control that is going to be a big factor.
I'm glad you brought up your height, Cory, because that's something I was looking at too. I knew you were tall and a larger guy for the division, but I didn't realize you were 5'11", and obviously Yuri's beaten guys all the way up to 155. I mean, you'll see guys at welterweight that have a loss in their name that have fought in the UFC that have a loss to Yuri Alcantara. I mean, he's no small bantamweight, but let me ask you, you had a great mindset, great skill set, but do you see your future always in bantamweight, or do you eventually see yourself going up to 45s?
Not sure yet. That's a good question. I've thought about it. It's probably going to depend on the fight for me. If a 45 fight makes sense, and it pops up short notice, I can make 45 any day of the week. So if the opportunity is there and it presents itself and it's a wise decision, then I'll do that. But that's one I'm not too sure about yet.
Folks, keep an eye on this cat. He debuted in the UFC earlier this year, and I thought it was one of the more impressive debuts that I had seen in a while. Fighting out of Aurora, Colorado, it's Cory Sandhagen, 8-1 overall. He'll be faced up against Yuri Alcantara on Saturday. Well, you're all weighed in, so just keep rehydrating, and thank you very much for the interview, Cory. Good luck on Saturday. We'll be watching, bro.
Yeah, thanks, fella. Thanks for having me on again.
All right, take care. We'll see you.
Yep.
Follow Cory on Twitter at Cors_life. CORS_life. And Mike Perry can be followed at Platinum Perry. And we're going to take a break right now. It's MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM's Fight Nation, Channel 93. The kickoff to college football season is fast approaching, and no one knows about your favorite your favorite school, like the experts on SiriusXM's college conference channels. From Heisman Trophy hopefuls to make or break Week 1 games, our analysts are getting you ready for the start of the season. Hear it all on SiriusXM, ACC Radio, Channel 371, SiriusXM Pac-12 Radio, Channel 373, SiriusXM SEC Radio, Channel 374, and streaming on your phone at home on SiriusXM connected devices and speakers. I don't want to miss this real fast. I know Marco's on hold. He'll probably want to chime in, but did you see Conor McGregor having a go at Habib's dad?
Yeah.
On our front page, on the front page of MMA Junkie, it leads back to an Instagram post that Conor McGregor put. And I guess I'll try my best to describe it. Basically, what he's getting at is there's a picture of... Is that Habib's dad, guys? I don't get it. That's the part I'm confused about. Okay, well, the Notorious MMA says, I can see you cowering behind fake respect, just like your middle child, a quivering coward. So he's talking to Habib's dad.
Mm-hmm.
Why does he say I can see you? That's not him, though, right?
I don't think so.
That's not him posting a selfie, and that's not him.
No.
Because he's an older gentleman, so is it that guy?
I thought it was... That looks like
That's Habib.
Yeah.
Can you figure this out, Dan? That's the one thing I haven't been able to figure out yet.
I don't know.
Yeah, I can't figure out by the photo. I just know Abdul Manap Nurmagomedov is Khabib's father, if you see that name.
Right. So he's saying, I can see you. Well, we can't see you. And he says, just like your middle child. Or cowering behind fake respect, just like your middle child. I mean, okay, it's on the front page, and if we post Conor McGregor's cutting his toenails, it'll do great traffic. But I just didn't see what we were getting at, and I was trying to figure it out here for the last half hour.
Do you want to know why I did it?
Why?
I finally get to put my degree at work. Here's what he's doing.
Pop quiz. Who else has a psychology degree?
Oh.
Who else?
In Junkie Nation?
Yeah, related to MMA in any way.
Oh, related to MMA? I don't know.
Rashad Evans.
Oh, okay.
And Cory Sandhagen.
Oh, really?
Yeah, go ahead.
Nice. God. I forgot what I was going to say.
You wanted to put your degree to work.
Oh, okay. The thing that I've been talking about, the intangible in this fight, is the mental warfare. He can't get through to Habib, so he picked the next route to try and get into his head. And he's going after his father.
Mm-hmm.
That's why he made that post. Because he hasn't been able to get through to Habib yet.
But why not pick a pick with the dad in it?
And who cares about the pick? It's him coming at the dad.
Mm-hmm.
For me, him going that route shows that mental warfare, he's a little desperate. Same thing happened with Floyd. What did he have to do to get Floyd's attention finally? Rub his head, right? Because it didn't work in the first press conference, just trying to talk back and forth. Floyd was just sitting there laughing.
Even when he rubbed his head, didn't Floyd not do anything?
It didn't really work, but he kept trying to push it. Every time he pushes it more and more until he gets that reaction that he needs. He's not getting it from Habib, so that's why he tried to go that route.
Okay. Well, this is what he's alluding to.
That's what makes Habib a gangster.
These are the words of Abdul Manap Nurmagomedov, which is Habib's father.
Right.
He says, I think Conor understands that he wasn't the real champion at 155 pounds. He only fought against 2 lightweights, and one of them choked him out. When he took the belt, there were about 6 lightweights who were there stronger than him. There are a lot of fighters who deserve a title shot more than Conor. For example, Poirier. He can keep a high pace. He tries to finish opponents. Poirier is the real contender. Oh my God! Like, is that bad? Like, it's just the game that he's playing.
Yeah.
So he's reaching here.
It's a reach. That's what I'm getting at. This is a reach.
Okay. Wow,
it's a big tool that he uses in every fight, but not everybody caves, and Habib is not caving, so he has to take it a step further and come after his family.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
Okay. Well, I'll take your word for it. I think he's very, very colorful and creative, and I just think he could have done something else. But perhaps he's beyond me, you know, and then he's just trying to dig into some other part of the fighter psyche. All the fighters weighed in today already, and they all came in on weight for UFC Fight Night 135, including 6'3" James Vick and Justin Gaethje. I mean, 6'3", 155 pounds. That's amazing. Dude walks around at almost 200 pounds. I don't know that he can do that forever, but so far so good. And if you haven't heard, Tony Ferguson will return. He faces Anthony Pettis at UFC 229. That was broken last night on MMA Junkie. And I'm sure that'll serve as the co-main event for Habib Nurmagomedov defending against Conor McGregor, which is obviously the main event. So I imagine that makes Derek Lewis and Alexander Volkov the featured bout, which is the third bout, down from the bottom. Also, one last thing here. Vitaly Minakov, who I believe is one of the more talented heavyweights, is back in the game. He is re-signing with Bellator. Apparently, he's going to take a fight and then maybe fight the winner of this Grand Prix that they got going on. They're down to the semifinals. We probably haven't talked much about that. We will next week. Mitrione and Bader fight 1 week after Fedor versus Chael Sonnen. Did you see Chael Sonnen go on full Apollo Creed?
Yeah, so
with his get up there on the poster. Brian Caraway, he's back. He'll be facing Pedro Munoz. Tough 28 finale in Vegas. That's in December. And I guess those are some of the latest fight bookings. Santiago Ponzinibbio is going to be fighting Neil Magny. They're going to Argentina, and that's where Ponzinibbio is originally from. So that makes sense. And also, if you haven't heard, Yair Rodriguez is out of his bout versus Zabib Magomed Sharapov. And John Lineker has volunteered. I just don't know if he's going to do it or not. What?
You're doing it to yourself.
Oh.
You don't want to do overtime today, right? You're trying to get the OC. You still got this, and you got that.
Okay, let's do this. It's time for the Daily Debate, brought to you by the MMA Junkie Radio team. With Tony Ferguson's return against Anthony Pettis set for UFC 229, how do you see the fight playing out? You got 4 choices here. Ferguson by stoppage, Pettis by stoppage, Ferguson by decision, Pettis by decision. And since we haven't done one of these in a while, stoppage means either submission or KO TKO. So, you go first.
It's a nightmare of a matchup to pick. I'm going to go with Ferguson by stoppage, but I don't think it's going to be early. I think it's going to play out somewhere in rounds 2 or 3, right around there. But the way these two fight, I just don't see it getting to a decision.
How about you, Dan?
Early lean's going to be Ferguson. He creates chaos and he kills space. That traditionally troubles Anthony Pettis. So if Ferguson can stay out of the submissions of himself, away from Anthony Pettis' guard game, then I'll leave Ferguson inside the distance.
All right, and what kind of a stoppage, sub or TKO?
I'm going to go with submission, actually.
Goes?
Submission.
I'm with you guys. I think it'll go to a decision. I think both guys are pretty tough and durable, but I think Ferguson will be able to win the rounds by winning the more dominant positions.
Yeah?
Yeah. So that's our daily debate. Thank you to the 1,220 that voted, and here's how the results came in. 66% said Ferguson by stoppage. In second place is Ferguson by decision at 16%. Pettis by stoppage came in at 13%. Pettis by decision at 5%.
Oh.
Let's blast through these calls and get the hell on out of here. Marco from Waco, what's up, buddy?
Marco from Waco, ¿qué pasa, dude?
What's up, bud?
Your fighting partner for this weekend. I got big, 4-round TKO.
Okay, James Vick.
Steely by decision. Jake Ellenberger first round knockout, and if anybody else pick against Jake Ellenberger, I'm rescinding the MMA Junkie Nation membership. Do not pick against Jake. Angela Hill by decision, and Mickey Gold by submission second round. Peace out. Enjoy the fest this weekend.
All right, see you, Marco. It's on record. Let's see how he does. Dan in Oregon, you got about 30 seconds. What's up, bud?
Looks like Dan just dropped.
In that parlay, I would just say Johnson Feely is the tough one. Could go either way, I think. But I like what he's got going.
Yeah, so do I. All right, big thanks to Mike Perry for joining us on the show today, as well as Cory Sandhagen. Also, our other guests for the week were Joseph Benavidez, Eric Anders, Bobby Moffett, Derek Lewis, Dave LaGreca, Gray Maynard, and Chris Lytle. We'll be back on Monday with more MMA Junkie Radio. Also, keep it locked on MMA Junkie throughout the weekend. We have John Morgan out in Lincoln, Nebraska, covering UFC Fight Night 135. Again, happy birthday to Juliet. I will see you in a few hours, Jules. Good luck to Mater Dei, the Monarchs, the best team ever in high school football. Last year we were 15-0. We had the National Offensive Player of the Year, the National Defensive Player of the Year, and the Coach of the Year.
Best recruiting class of the year?
Goes! Except This year, I don't know if we're as good as last year, but we'll see. We play Bishop Gorman tonight on ESPNU. All right, folks, go out there and be a champion.